Imagine for a moment that you are facing a locked door. Behind this door is everything you desire: your success, your freedom, your personal fulfillment. But this door is locked by one thing: fear. You feel it, that anxiety that paralyzes you, that voice in your head telling you, you won't make it, you'll fail, you're not strong enough. Every time you try to move forward, it pushes you back. But what if I told you that this fear is exactly what can set you free? What if behind every fear there was an opportunity to grow, to transform? Today, I will show you how to turn your fear into strength, how to overcome what holds you back, and make that fear that blocks you become your greatest engine. Are you ready to take on the challenge and break the chains that hold you? Fear, everyone knows it. That uncomfortable feeling that arises when you are about to step out of your comfort zone. Take a risk, face the unknown. Fear can paralyze you, prevent you from acting, and stop you from fully living. It creeps into your mind, preventing you from making decisions, and makes you doubt your ability to succeed. But what you may not know is that fear is not your enemy. No, it can become your most powerful ally if you learn to face it. Fear shows you where the growth areas are in your life. When you feel that knot in your stomach, that anxiety, it's often a sign that you are about to do something new, something important. That's where real change begins. Fear should not make you run away. It should motivate you to move forward. Look at the greatest accomplishments in history. The people who changed the world were not free from fear. On the contrary, they felt fear and chose to face it. Nelson Mandela, before becoming a symbol of freedom, spent 27 years in prison. He was afraid, but he didn't let that fear define him. Steve Jobs was afraid of failure when he launched Apple, and yet he kept moving forward despite the uncertainty. Fear is there to show you that you are about to grow. When you feel scared, it's often a sign that you are ready to take an important step in your life. It's your chance to evolve, to free yourself from what holds you back, and to discover new abilities within you. Don't let fear control your life. Face it, use it. Every time you choose to confront your fears, you become stronger. Fear doesn't define you. It's how you react to it that determines your destiny. Imagine if you stopped running from your fears and decided to face them, one by one. Each fear you overcome becomes a victory, proof that you can go beyond your limits. Fear, when mastered, can propel you to your full potential. The key is to change your perspective. Don't see fear as an insurmountable obstacle, but as a signal that you are ready to move forward, to explore new territory. Don't let this emotion paralyze you. Use it as leverage to go further, higher. Fear is not your enemy. It is the springboard that can set you free. Fear is an emotion deeply ingrained in us, a natural and primal response that dates back to our ancestors. It was designed to protect us, to alert us to danger, so that we could survive immediate threats. When a predator approached, fear triggered an automatic response, fight or flight. It's a survival mechanism that helped us evolve. But today, immediate physical threats are no longer as prevalent in our lives. Yet, fear continues to play an important role, even though its triggers have changed. We fear failure, rejection, the unknown, judgment from others, and here lies the problem. Fear is no longer just a response to real danger, but a reaction to situations perceived as threatening. In other words, we fear things that may not always present a concrete danger, but that disturb our emotional balance. Fear of rejection is one of the deepest and most common fears. As human beings, we have a fundamental need to belong. Since prehistory, being rejected by one's group or tribe often meant death. This need to belong is still written in our DNA. Thus, the fear of rejection is tied to our desire to be part of something greater, to be accepted and loved. This fear can paralyze us, prevent us from taking risks, from daring to show ourselves as we are. Furthermore, the fear of failure is rooted in our past experiences and beliefs. From childhood, we are often conditioned to believe that failure is a sign of weakness, a negative judgment of our personal worth. Yet, failure is one of the best ways to learn and grow. The fear of failure prevents us from taking initiative and daring to step out of our comfort zone. We begin to avoid situations that might expose us to failure, thus limiting our chances of success. The fear of the unknown is also a natural phenomenon. Uncertainty can be distressing because it plunges us into an inability to foresee the consequences of our choices. When we don't know what's going to happen, we tend to imagine the worst. The unknown destabilizes us because we don't have control. This creates a form of anxiety that pushes us to seek familiar, predictable, and safe situations, even if they are not necessarily the ones that allow us to grow. Negative thoughts and limiting beliefs that we maintain also play a major role in creating fear. Often, we fear not being good enough, not measuring up, not succeeding. These beliefs shape our reality and fuel our fear. They are ideas we learned, often very early on, and continue to maintain, even though they are no longer based in reality. In the end, we are afraid because we are trying to protect our ego, to maintain emotional balance. We fear losing our status, our image, our comfort. But the truth is, fear is just an emotion, a reaction to a perceived threat. And often, what we fear is only an illusion. The key to overcoming our fears lies in understanding these mechanisms, in the ability to confront and face them rather than run from them. Fear loses its power when we examine it closely, when we use it as a signal that pushes us to act, to evolve, to move forward. Fears are part of life. They are natural, and to some extent, necessary to protect us. However, they can also become invisible barriers that prevent us from moving forward, growing, and reaching our potential. To destroy your fears, it's not enough to ignore them or push them away. You have to understand them, confront them, and learn to use them as springboards toward your freedom and success. Here are the steps to destroy your fears and take control of your life. The first step to destroy a fear is to acknowledge it. Often we feel fear, but are unable to pinpoint the exact source. Is it the fear of rejection, failure, or the unknown? Is it an irrational fear, or is it something more concrete, like the fear of losing something precious? Identify what scares you. Take a moment to stop, breathe deeply, and observe what's going on in your mind. Write down your fear. What is its source? Is it a legitimate fear, or is it fueled by negative thoughts and imaginary scenarios? Recognizing the fear is already a huge first step toward overcoming it. It allows you to bring it into the light and take control. Once you've identified your fear, it's crucial to understand where it comes from. Most of our fears stem from our past, a painful experience, failure, trauma, or limiting beliefs we've internalized over time. Sometimes our fears are inherited from our environment, messages we received as children, societal expectations, or the opinions of those around us. Taking the time to understand the origin of your fear will help disarm it. Why are you afraid? Is it really justified? Often we fear what we don't understand or what we've misinterpreted. Once you take a step back and analyze your fears, you can start to deconstruct them. Fears are often fueled by negative thoughts or limiting beliefs. We tend to imagine the worst-case scenarios, and these scenarios feed the fear. The secret to destroying fear is changing your perspective. Instead of focusing on the negative aspects, ask yourself, what if this fear is an opportunity in disguise? What if that failure you fear is actually a chance to learn? This shift in perspective helps you see fear as a growth step, not a threat. Successful people aren't free from fear, but they have learned to reframe it. They use it as a signal to move forward. Every time you shift your perspective, you reduce the power of fear. Once you understand your fear and have changed your perspective, it's time to face it gradually. The best way to destroy fear is to confront it directly. However, it's not necessary to face your biggest fear immediately. Start with small steps. If you fear public speaking, begin by practicing in front of a mirror or with a few friends. If you fear failure, start by taking small actions without waiting for perfection. The idea is to create momentum and get used to facing your fears without becoming overwhelmed. Every action, no matter how small, brings you closer to your freedom. Each time you take a step toward what scares you, you have the opportunity to take control. Visualization is a powerful tool for destroying fear. Imagine yourself succeeding. Picture yourself overcoming that fear with confidence and determination. Visualize the moment when you will confront what terrifies you and come out victorious. Feel the pride and satisfaction of having done it. This process prepares your mind for success. Athletes, leaders, and high achievers use visualization to prepare their minds to overcome obstacles and succeed. It creates a connection between your mind and actions, transforming a paralyzing fear into a source of motivation. Failure is one of the biggest triggers of fear, but if you want to destroy your fear, it's essential to change your relationship with failure. Failure is not the end, it's a learning opportunity. It's a chance to grow, to rise, and to start again differently. Don't let the fear of failure paralyze you. Every failure brings you closer to success. Learn to view each mistake as a learning opportunity. By changing your relationship with failure, you will be free to take risks and move forward without fear. Fears can grow in solitude. Surround yourself with people who support you, who believe in you, and who encourage you to move beyond your fears. The people you surround yourself with have a significant impact on your mindset. Look for mentors, friends, or even support groups who will help you overcome your fears. The encouragement of others can give you the strength to keep going when you need it most. You don't have to face your fears alone. Together we are stronger. Destroying your fears doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, a journey. Be patient with yourself. Don't get discouraged if you have moments of doubt or make mistakes. The key to destroying your fears lies in perseverance. Every small progress is a victory. Celebrate each step taken, and be proud of your ability to move forward despite the fear. Destroying your fears is not an easy task, but it's a path to freedom. Fear, instead of paralyzing you, can become your greatest motivator. By recognizing, understanding, and confronting your fears with concrete actions, you have the power to make them disappear. Never forget that fear, when mastered, becomes the catalyst for your growth. Fear is a fundamental human emotion, which can be a survival mechanism, but it can also become a major obstacle to our personal development. We all have fears, some small, others deep and powerful. These fears can paralyze our potential, prevent us from making important decisions, and limit our ability to succeed. But the good news is that all these fears can be overcome. Here's an overview of the most powerful fears and strategies to conquer them. One of the most common and powerful fears is the fear of failure. This fear is deeply rooted in our beliefs, often linked to our childhood, where failure was perceived as something shameful or negative. We tend to believe that failure defines us, that it proves we're not good enough. To overcome the fear of failure, it's essential to change our relationship with failure. Failure is not a reflection of our worth, but an opportunity to learn and grow. The greatest successes often arise from the biggest failures. Entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs or Walt Disney failed many times before experiencing resounding success. Reevaluate the notion of failure by focusing on what you can learn at each stage, and remember that failing is just a necessary step toward success. The fear of rejection is another fear that stops us from acting, especially in social and professional situations. This fear is linked to our fundamental need for belonging and recognition. We fear not being accepted, being ignored, or criticized, which often prevents us from expressing ourselves freely or taking initiative. The key to overcoming this fear is understanding that not everyone has to accept you. What matters is being authentic and true to yourself. When you stop seeking approval from others, you take control of your own life. Accept that you can't please everyone, but you deserve to be loved for who you are. Self-acceptance and self-esteem are the antidotes to the fear of rejection. Additionally, surrounding yourself with people who support you and accept you as you are will help you feel more confident and overcome this fear. The fear of the unknown is one of the deepest fears. It arises whenever we face a new situation, whether it's a career change, a move, a new relationship, or even a new project. The fact that we don't know what awaits us often causes us to hesitate and procrastinate. The fear of the unknown can be fought by accepting uncertainty as a part of life. Nothing is certain in life, and often what scares us is the idea of losing control. But we must accept that uncertainty opens doors to new experiences. A good way to overcome this fear is to start small. Take one step at a time, and as you progress, you'll realize that the unknown isn't as scary as it seems at first. Trust your intuition and your ability to navigate the unknown, and you'll find that it's often the unexpected changes that bring the greatest opportunities. Many of us fear criticism, whether constructive or destructive. This fear is often related to our need for external validation. We fear that others will judge us, evaluate us, or disapprove of our actions, choices, or even our appearance. The fear of criticism can be overcome by developing strong self-confidence. Accept that criticism is part of life, and that it can be helpful if it's constructive. If the criticism is destructive, it's important to let it go and not take it personally. Focus on your goals and what matters to you, rather than what others think. Remember that the people who criticize you are often those who don't take risks themselves. If you're moving forward, taking action, you'll always encounter criticism. It's a sign that you're doing something meaningful. The fear of losing control is linked to uncertainty and dependence on comfort. We all fear not being able to manage what happens to us or losing control over our lives, emotions, or results. This fear can paralyze and prevent us from acting, especially when we feel overwhelmed by events. The key to overcoming this fear is accepting that we can't control everything. Life is full of surprises, and often situations are beyond our control. Learn to let go and trust the process. Making decisions knowing that you can't predict everything will free up energy for action. Focus on what you can control, such as your attitude, your reactions, and your work, and let the rest go. The fear of introspection is often overlooked. but it is just as important. This fear is related to avoiding our own emotions and thoughts. In the face of difficult situations or aspects of ourselves that we prefer to ignore, it can be easier to flee from introspection than to confront our inner demons. To overcome the fear of introspection, it's crucial to understand that personal growth comes through self-acceptance, including the aspects we prefer to avoid. Start with light introspective practices, such as writing or meditation, and gradually progress. Confronting your inner fears can bring great liberation and provide you with a new perspective on your life. All of these fears are obstacles that, when confronted, can become stepping stones toward a richer, more fulfilling, and more authentic life. Fear is not to be avoided, but understood. By facing it, changing your perspective, and taking courageous actions, you can transform it into a power that propels you toward success. True freedom begins when we decide not to let fear control our lives. Courage in the face of fear is one of the most powerful forces we have. Fear is a primary emotion, deeply rooted in our survival instinct. It plays a protective role. It alerts us to dangers and pushes us to take precautions. However, when it becomes excessive, fear can also paralyze us, hinder our potential, and prevent us from living fully. This is where courage comes in. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. On the contrary, it is the ability to move forward despite fear, to face the unknown, to take risks. It's that inner strength that pushes us to take the first step even when our legs tremble and our minds whisper doubts. Courage is accepting that fear is part of us, without letting it dictate our choices. It is recognizing that no great success has ever come without someone daring to take a risk, without someone having the courage to face their own anxieties. When we are afraid, our instinct is often to flee, to try to escape the source of our fear. But courage teaches us that it is often more powerful to face directly what scares us. This is what transforms fear into a springboard. Every time we choose to confront a situation that terrifies us, we strengthen our resilience, our self-confidence, and our ability to handle adversity. Fear, instead of limiting us, then becomes an opportunity to evolve. The beauty of courage lies in its simplicity. It is a conscious decision not to let fear take over. It is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. It is in the action, in the decision not to remain in the shadow of one's anxieties, but to walk toward the light. In every courageous act, there is liberation, a victory over oneself. And the more we cultivate this courage, the more it becomes second nature. Ultimately, the power of courage in the face of fear is an invaluable force. It allows us not only to get through difficult trials, but also to transform our limitations into powerful sources of growth. Every moment we choose to face fear is a step toward a stronger and more fulfilled version of ourselves. It is in these moments of courage that we discover our true potential and allow ourselves to live fully.